So hello guys, I'm Tobonic Spider. Apologies for the background noise. There is some construction work going on nearby. So in this video I'll show you how to remove the headlamp assembly from the bike itself, so that you can add this and several other things. For that, for just removing the headlamp, the only thing you need is this screwdriver. This is a interchangeable flat and Phillips screwdriver. So the headlamp is held on to the bike with 4 screws. Use your Phillips screwdriver, or star screwdriver as we call it, to remove these 4 screws. So with these 4 screws removed, what you need to do is change to the flat bit, and see this gap here. You just poke it and gently pry this off from the fairing itself, the housing. With that off, gently pull this away from the bike. Be careful. You could either remove the number plate itself or cover it with some kind of cloth or something, so that you don't scratch the fairing. Now when you remove it, there is this plug, just one plug, that connects the whole headlamp's wiring to the harness. So go ahead and remove that, and your headlamp is with you now. I'll continue at the desk, and I'll see you there. Okay, so this is what the inside of the headlamp looks like. It's pretty simple. There is 2 indicator wires, 1 headlamp wire, and 2 parking lights wires. So for removing the indicators, what you need to do is, see these 2 wires, you just disconnect them. Use a 14mm spanner to remove this bolt and this nut, and you could slide the old indicator in, put the new one in, and see this retaining clip, this thing underneath the bolt and a nut. You should keep that. And another thing to keep in mind is that if you are using a thin indicator like the one I used in my mods video, if you're using that, you need to have a washer, otherwise the thing will just go inside and it won't stay there. So that's how you change the indicators. And for the wiring, is pretty straightforward. You see this bright orange wire, it is the positive terminal, and the darker green wire is the neutral terminal. Same goes here as well. The brighter color is the positive, and the darker color is the ground. For the parking lights, it's the same procedure that shown in my CBR video. You just pull out this casing which reveals the bulb. You plug this out, pull it out, bring the new one in, pretend this is the new one, and put it in, plug it back in. Now for the headlamp, what you need to do is, first of all, you need to remove this plug, and usually there's a dust cover here. I don't know where I left mine. I have absolutely no clue where I left mine, so it's bare now. You see this clip? You can remove this, pull your headlamp out. Now this is the Avenger headlamp, and every time you handle a headlamp, you should be careful that you should not touch the this part, because it's very sensitive. So be careful while handling with these things. So this particular one is an H4 bulb, and it does only I think Hornet fits HS1 and H4 bulbs only. So you get your headlamp, you push it back in, and just slide it back in. It only goes in one way, so there's no way you can mess this up. So you just put your headlamp in there and put the clips back in, and you're done. I mean, not exactly, but you need to just plug this back in and you're done. So that's how you connect your headlamps, and that's how you change your indicators, that's how you change your parking lamps. Now let's move on to how to install this particular piece, which is the windshield. For that, it is a bit of a lengthy process. I'll show you step by step. Let me just take a screwdriver. You see these three screws, one here, one in the middle, and one here as well. You go ahead and remove that three screws. So with these three screws removed, you could slowly take this off. Well, not exactly slowly, and it comes off like that. Now for demonstration purpose, I'm just gonna remove two of these screws down here. It's the same exact process for all four of these screws. So I'll just remove this and I'll show you how to do this. So what you need to do is that you take this windshield and line it up in such a way that you can see this, right? The windshield lines up with this shape. So I feel like this is the perfect alignment. It's easier for you to do this. Just align both of these like this, and when you align this, now this is for people who can't use or don't have a drill machine. So this does work just fine, but the drill does make things a lot easier. So what you got to do is that you take your scissors, what the fuck, and you just make a small hole. You just force the scissors in such that it makes a tiny hole, and what you got to do next is take this screw, which is a pointed one, and you just put it there and screw this in like so. I mean, I have already done it just for demonstration purpose. You have to use a lot of force because it's gonna cut through the plastic, and it does need some force to actually force yourself into it. After you've done that, it will make a hole not as big as this, but a bit smaller. What I did next is that I took this screwdriver itself and forced the screwdriver in, making the hole much bigger. And finally what I did is that I took these four of these screws and just screwed them in. It is recommended to use a Allen type of screw or bolt, as well as nuts to secure them in place. I only had two of these, so I'm just using two of these. So just tighten this and do the same process for all four slots, all four holes. It is recommended that you start from this position, these two nut screws, because it's obviously the center of these three holes. So this does hold quite well, and I just added nuts to these two so that it doesn't easily go away. And after you've done screwing around, it's time to put the thing back to the headlamp assembly. So what you got to do is just you see this hole right here, you just align it and slowly insert it into the housing. It should be pretty easy. So these three screws are fitted, and just take a look at your finished product. I feel like this looks pretty good. This is the Phaser V1 windshield. I'm not exactly sure how much this actually costs, but let's just go back to the bike and put this thing back together. So we are back here at the bike, and I'm just gonna put the keys in for testing purposes. And what you got to do first is reconnect your wiring harness to this plug right here. I'm breathing heavily because it's pretty hot and I'm wearing a helmet. Okay, so with this connected, you just test your lights. So I'm just gonna turn the bike on. Headlamp works. Turn signals. See, I just got the parking lights wrong. So what you do is that you just remove this, twist it, put it back in. God damn it, get in. Kind of difficult to do with one hand. And I accidentally unplugged the indicator as well. So just these lights are kind of difficult to work with because they're not actual genuine things. And we're there. Let's just check all the lights again. Headlamps working, turn signals working, and now you can put it back in. You see these three guiding pins, 1, 2 and 3, and you see these 3 holes. You gotta just align this with this and slowly slide in. It's gonna be a bit difficult for me because there are a shit ton of wires from the bolt charger and some other mods that I've done. You just align that and just try to push it in. Don't use too much pressure because it might break. I'm not so sure. Come on, just get in there, you piece of shit. And yes, this one is always difficult. This one is always the bitch. And there. Okay, now with all these things put in place, all you gotta do is tighten the bolts, the screws, and you're done. Okay, so that's all 4 bolts, screws screwed in. Now everything's done. Just give your bike one more chance, one more test to see everything does work. Headlamps work. Okay, indicators, left showing left, yes, and right is showing right. And that's it. That's how you remove your headlamp to change indicators, headlamp, parking lights, and also add a windshield. If you found this video useful, that's great. I'm happy for that. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.